When I purchased shares in Cable Bahamas is offering a service that I appreciated. And I thought, seeing that it was something new on the block, it was interested enough for me to be a part of it. They have a chance to be the number one, particularly in mobile field. You have already earned the right to be the next provider. You've earned that from Joe Public, from the Bahamian people.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into MB12 Weekend, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, Prime Minister Perry Christie fires back at what he called Baha Mar's insulting statement. Tourism Minister Obie says, of course, government has a plan B for Baha Mar. The family of a missing young man pleading for his safe return home. Plus, brace yourself for a summer of supercell storms. I'm Paige McCartney. We've got those stories and more straight ahead on MB12 Weekend. Welcome once again to MB12. Prime Minister Perry Christie firing back at Baha Mar's comments that he misled the Bahamian public and is attempting to nationalize private assets, calling Baha Mar's statements absolute nonsense. Christie added that it was also egregiously insulting and verifiably false. Yesterday, Baha Mar blasted government's move to wind up the company, calling it unnecessary and an attempt to nationalize a private company's assets. In a statement, Baha Mar also accused Prime Minister Perry Christie of misleading the public when he said negotiations in Beijing fell through while Baha Mar representatives were negotiating, and was also misleading when he announced that a deal was struck back in June. But Christie said in his statement yesterday afternoon that his version of events, as related in his address, is supported in material by China Export-Import Bank. He said that the Exim Bank expressed disappointment as recently as Friday about Baha Mar's lack of flexibility in the matter. So where do we go from here? Questions were put to Tourism Minister Obie outside of the House of Assembly on Wednesday about whether government has its eye on a new investor to purchase and eventually complete Baha Mar. said, of course, government has a plan B.
I think it's very clear to know that the government has a contingency plan. We have a plan B, and we keep that in our back pockets in the event it has to be played. The truth is, many players are involved in this right now, and many things are at stake. What we have to do is to be in a position to respond immediately if something were to happen. But at the moment, we're dealing with the developer who sits in the office today, and we are giving the developer all the support possible, as we are giving China Construction, and work with Exim Bank because we must.
When Wilchcombe spoke with our news team on Wednesday, the government's delegation led by Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson had already briefed cabinet on the failed talks in Beijing, China. However, government had not yet revealed its intention to file a winding up petition for the 14 Baha Mar companies to begin liquidation. While he said there is a strong possibility of new owners of Baha Mar, government has to first deal with the players at the table.
If the game changes, then we change our game plan. Right now, what we're seeking to do is get this to the point of opening, and then we can move forward. All those brands that are sitting and waiting it out, they're doing that because they have faith. They believe it's going to happen, and let's not underestimate this point. They are in a good Bahamas brand. The Bahamas is a wonderful destination, and tomorrow others would want to hang their flags on that hotel tomorrow because of brand Bahamas, proximity Bahamas, people Bahamas. It works in the tourism market.
Asked whether he believed spending $14 million to date on advertising Baha Mar internationally was a waste, Wilchcombe said no. However, he admitted that perhaps there was too much haste.
The brand is out there. The brand is known. People know about Baha Mar. It is selling. Even though it's not open, it's selling. People were booking. So we had the reaction that we required. So it's never waste because you're going to benefit from it in the back end. Should have been spent when it was open, maybe, but the truth is, to get it open, you've got to spend in the front. So we've spent in the front to cause it to be advertised globally. It's been in some of the most outstanding magazines, Vanity and other magazines, and so it's had good bill. So that's not waste. That's a part of what you have to do. And now the expectation is the property. So notwithstanding the fact that it's at this stage, the truth is it's already built. People have seen the wonderful pictures. People have seen the wonderful look. So it's already out there, and all we have to do is say we're open for business.
Baha Mar filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in a Delaware court on January 29th. The government has paid the salaries of Bahamian workers at the resort twice since then and has committed to paying those salaries, which amount to $7.3 million for the next few months. While the eyes of the business and investment world are on the Bahamas, this government seeks to bring order to this Baha Mar quandary. But Minister of State for Investments, Kalis Roll, says government is not overly concerned by the effect the predicament will have on future investments in the Bahamas.
And you always have to evaluate where you are and the image you're portraying in the international investment market. But major serious investors understand that things like this happen. It is a major project. I don't know of any major project that at one point or the other didn't hit a brick wall and had to recalibrate where they are and what they need to do to be successful. And this is just one of the brick walls in the evolution of this project.
While admitting that there are lessons to be learned from the Baha Mar debacle, Roll asserted that there's little governments can do to protect themselves, local contractors and employees from this kind of situation being experienced.
There is very little you can do to impact how an investment turns out, because with all of the due diligence, you can find individuals that have deep pockets, you can find individuals that have good character and that have good track records. Investing is a process, and sometimes you run into problems with that process. We continue to look at the type of individuals that we are attracting. We continue to look at their capacity, and as much as we can do in the interim period, which is now, we will try to do to ensure that we get blue chip investors with capacity to carry out their investment.
Roll recently told NB12 that government's ongoing national development plan exercises would focus on ways to boost local participation in development so that the country doesn't rely so heavily upon foreign direct investment. In other news tonight, police are investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of a man last night. Reports are that shortly after 8 p.m., the victim was involved in an altercation with another man on Point Sienna Drive that resulted in the man knocking the victim with his truck. The victim later died in hospital. A police officer is in hospital following a shooting incident. Reports are that just after 1:30 this morning, police responded to reports of a traffic accident on East Street South. When officers arrived on the scene, they met a vehicle on the side of the road with extensive damage. Inside, officers discovered an off-duty police constable suffering from a gunshot wound. The officer was rushed to hospital and is listed in stable condition. And police are looking for 2 men suspected of armed robbery and sexual assault. Reports are that just before 1 this morning, a woman was sitting in her boyfriend's silver Honda Accord outside a nightclub on Minnie Street when 2 men armed with a handgun jumped into the vehicle and sped off with her inside. The men abandoned the vehicle with the woman in the area of Soldier Road and East Street. The woman was treated in hospital and later discharged. Now, the family of a young man who says he's been missing for more than 2 months say they are still desperately searching for answers 76 days after he was last seen. Jasmine Brown has their emotional story in this report.
I cannot sleep the rest of this night. I miss my child, and y'all who know where my child is, please send him home. God knows and sees everything.
Her grief is obvious and her search is never ending. Mikkel Gray says although she hasn't heard from her son in months, she won't stop searching. According to his mother, 26-year-old Charlton Morley was last seen on April 29th at his Gamble Heights home in southern New Providence.
He was last seen April 29th.
And what was he doing, like with family?
He was home with his girlfriend at the time at 4:30 to 5:30. This guy, someone who knows him, the friend came, pick him up. The friend came, pick him up, take him out.
Gray says her son hasn't been seen since, and it has torn their family apart. According to Gray, since her son went missing, she has spent her days desperately searching for clues. The mother of 4 said she filed a missing persons report at the South Beach police station days after Morley went missing. In an attempt to expedite the police investigation, she says she later met with senior police officials. She says while her son was not perfect and was wearing an electronic monitoring bracelet from an armed robbery case, she pleaded with police to do all they can to find him.
Please help me, please. I need sleepless night. I cannot sleep. I need my child. Please help me. Just because I'm a small fry, if I was one of y'all children, y'all would have feel it. So y'all hear my pain, please. I need my child. I need y'all help to get the culprit. Please, for my child. I need it. Because y'all look like y'all ain't working with me, so y'all better work. There's the God I serve, and God don't sleep, and God don't stumble.
Our news team reached out to officials at ICS Security. However, they did not return our calls up to press time. Police also did not respond to our interview requests up to airtime. Gray says she fears her son is dead, and even if that's the case, she just wants closure.
I believe they killed my child and throw him somewhere. They don't want to bring my child out. But if you all do that, please bring my child. I'm hurting. I rest this night. Bring my child, please. I am hurting.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Brown.